So today we're going to do a creaming method for cookies. You could look in my mixing bowl. I'm going to start with my butter and sugar. We always start with our sugars and solid fats. In the case of chocolate chip cookies, it's brown sugar and white sugar, granulated, and butter. I'm going to cream that for about 3 or 4 minutes. We'll see what it looks like. Then I'm going to add my eggs and my liquid ingredients, followed by my flour, and finally by my chips. Anything like chips, nuts, and raisins are added last because we want to keep the integrity and the shape of them together. If we add them too soon and they get smashed up, we won't have the same texture and integrity. With the creaming method, we always begin with the paddle attachment. Make sure our bowl is secure, our cage is on, and we pull it up and we begin to cream. You'll notice after about 3 or 4 minutes our butter and our sugar are one uniform mixture. I'm going to scrape down the side of the bowl and underneath the bowl, and then I'll begin to add my eggs one at a time. So at this point I'm going to continue to add my eggs one at a time, scraping down as I'm going after every few. Keep that batter together. And I don't want to mix these any more than I have to, because if I continually mix the batter, I'm going to beat a lot of air into those eggs. And like a balloon or bubbles that you blow as kids on the playground, the batter can only hold so much air in suspension. So what would happen is these air bubbles, when they go in the oven and the batter can't support it, they'll expand with the gases from the baking soda, and then they'll just collapse because it was too much for the batter to hold on to. So as soon as they're incorporated, I'm going to shut them off. And what's going to happen also is there's a lot of water and egg whites. This batter is going to stay emulsified or together, very much like you would just drizzle oil into a vinaigrette if you were making a vinaigrette. Same concept. So you notice it's not all chunky and grainy. I still have a uniform batter there. I scraped down the sides and the bottom, and I added some flour. I lowered the speed. 1, so the flour's not flying all over my kitchen. And 2, we all know that flour has protein in it called gluten, that when it comes in contact with liquid, it forms that gluten. I do not want to overdevelop this gluten. Now if I was making bread in a dough hook and it runs continuously for 8 to 10 or 12 minutes, I want to develop that gluten in that structure. If I was to continually mix this batter and overdevelop that flour, I would have very tough cookies, and they would look like muffin tops or be very, very tough and cakey. I don't want that. I want a tender cookie. So I added my next addition of flour, and again I'm going to run that on speed 1 on this 20-quart mixer. As soon as that gets incorporated, I'm going to shut it off. I wouldn't want to walk away from this mixer and allow this to run. So now we can see I have a uniform batter there. A little flour on the sides, which is okay. I'm going to scrape that down and add my chip. Now we see I have a nice uniform cookie batter there. We're going to scrape them out using a portion scoop so they're all the same size. They all cook evenly. Spread out so they're allowed to expand on the cookie sheet or the parchment paper with a sheet pan. You notice I have 2 uniform trays, all scooped the same size, all spread out in portions the same. Now we're going to put them in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes, and we'll take a look at them when they're done. Browned around the edge, all uniform, all kept their shape because we mixed them correctly. And we scoop them with the same size scoop so they're all the same size. Let them cool lightly, and then they're ready to serve or ready to eat.